Welcome back, everyone. NicknLex here. Thank you so much for joining me today to this new episode of Music with Nick. Today we got a marathon by Mark Alexander. Thank you so much, Mark, for considering this request. And we're gonna go full steam ahead with the DIXIE Dregs. As you can see in the description, I have the CD right here. Again, thank you so much. To the person, I really don't remember if it was who it was. Please let me know in the description because we received so many CDs. So please let us know who the person was, because I do have a lot of CDs where I do remember, but this one unfortunately I don't. I just found it. I was like, let me go through real quick, let's see if I can find it. And yeah, there it is. So we're gonna listen to pretty much half the disc right now in this marathon, and here is a little writing from Mark. It says the goal of this marathon is simple: make it so NicknLex have a full DIXIE Dregs album to listen to. And yes, that is super exciting because it's just like we always say, you know, it's kind of like a curse. The reaction videos, it holds you back, you know, that you can't just listen to the whole thing because you want to keep those tracks available to react, you know. So, but yeah, this is pretty much gonna seal the deal. So it says here Gary, who did his first marathon ever with that one, with where you did Night Meets a Light. That request was on your first marathon, but it says here with the final track. Now we're gonna do the 5 songs called from the album What If 1978. This is Take It Off the Top, Odyssey, What If, Travel Tunes, and Ice Cakes. And Little Kids and Gina Lola Breakdown. They're good, but you know, not really necessary to to complete the marathon. I'm gonna just listen to those because. But yeah, you know, that's it. And pretty much everything else is, you know, more like private, you know, so I'm not gonna share everything. But yeah, that's it, you know. Let's get into it. I got him loaded up here and I'm very, very curious. Steve Morse is an amazing player, but I as always, I'll have Wikipedia pulled up. I do want to see who else is on the album, right? Here it is, DIXIE Dregs. And yeah, I was so surprised by this track. You know, it says jazz fusion instrumental rock. That I, you know, by the track Night Meets Light, I was just like, wow, where did this come from? And reminded me a lot of like Kansas. And it's kind of cool that, you know, later on Steve Morse ended up being in Kansas as a guitar player, you know. So first guy that I do recognize is Rod Morgenstein. He has a on the drums and vocals, he has a band on Magna Carta, you know, the label that does the production for Liquid Tension, Experiment, and stuff like that, Shadow Gallery and stuff like that. And also a lot of tributes, like the Rush tribute, the Genesis tribute, and just the Magna Carta stuff. So that's kind of cool to see him on this. I didn't know that he was the drummer. But yeah, let's, without further ado, let's give it up here for Take It Off the Top. And I'll be pausing, of course, throughout the music, just to, you know, to talk about everything. And one thing that we did discuss, Mark and I, this is probably not going to be on YouTube. Let's try our best. You know, I obviously post it on YouTube, but since it's all universal, I'm sure it's going to get blocked. And then I can dispute it for a month or two if I'm lucky, and then eventually it's going to end up on Patreon. That's just the way that YouTube deals with when it's from the same album and it's all universal. That's just universal. If it was all Warner, there would be no problem, you know. That's just the way things are, unfortunately. All right, so let's go ahead with Take It Off the Top. Here we go. Thank you so much. Remember, if you're new to the channel, like the channel or subscribe. And if you're already subscribed, please comment or whatever you like. All right, here we go. It reminds me so much. This one reminds me more of like Joe Satriani, I think. Just the first, I think, 3 albums, sounded in this way, just, straightforward, like I don't know, it reminds me because it's instrumental music, right? And I think Joe Satriani in the first album he used a drum machine. This is obviously way different here with a real drummer, but just like the way the I don't know, like the chord progressions, so a little one, a simpler part, but a nice theme to it, and every track was based on a theme and then maybe a cool solo. And that was it, very simple. So this song, is more on the simpler side, but it's very good. It's very easy to listen to. It's very like, I don't know if you ever heard something of Surfing with the Alien or The Extremist, Joe Satriani had that. Well, still, to this day, that's his style. He doesn't really go into the prog, as far as I have heard. There's some, experimental Joe Satriani, but it's like that is his style. And that when I first heard him, when I first bought my first Joe Satriani CD, I was not really like that impressed because I expected that neoclassical stuff, that Yngwie Malmsteen does, because I remember that there were these 3 or 4 big players that I knew of at the moment was, Yngwie Malmsteen, Steve Vai, Joe Satriani, and Eric Johnson. And those were like, I didn't know about Holdsworth or, like Steve Morse, or Vinnie Moore, Tony McAlpine, Brett Garsett. I had no idea. So those were like the big four for me. So when I bought Satriani and I heard this kind of music, this style, I was like, where's all the the Bach and all that stuff? But it was more, this is more about, I don't know, but it can still change. I'm not saying it's not good. It was just like, it reminds me a lot of that style, that 4/4, and go for it. Let's play, some rhythm here, and then let's add a cool theme, and let's move out. Obviously a cool solo, but it's instrumental, So let's see where this goes. But so far I'm loving it, because I really grew enamored with that style later on. Joe Satriani was really, really cool. I got it, later, but just wanted to make that comparison. So I'm sure that Joe Satriani is inspired by the Dixie Dregs. That it has to be, All right, let's keep going. Oh yes, very, very cool, super cool. This one felt way, way longer. I'm looking at it now, 4 minutes and 7 seconds. It did feel longer. I love that, when a song does that to you. Now this next one, Odyssey, and it's so cool because there's so many songs that I know that are called Odyssey, or even albums. We have Yngwie Malmsteen, Odyssey album, great album. Then we have was it called Time Odyssey? Vinnie Moore, Time Odyssey, amazing album, just crazy good. Then we have Symphony X, called, wait a minute, the Vine Wings of, no, wait. There's an album called The Odyssey by Symphony X. So just stuff that comes into mind. Vinnie Moore, Yngwie Malmsteen, Symphony X, all neoclassical shredders. Let's see what this is about. 7 minutes and 37 seconds. Let's see if it has that classical touch that I like. I know that Steve Morse has influences in neoclassical rock, especially when he played with Deep Purple, I'm sure. But that was later. This is 1978. So I don't really know the timeline. I think he played with them in the 90s. I could be wrong, but we'll figure it out, All right, here we go with Odyssey. Wow. Wow. Yeah, I could not stop. I could not pause this one. I didn't want to. This was obviously super proggy and reminded me of a lot of stuff that I hear in Dream Theater. And it's so funny because while I was thinking that, I read here, it says American heavy metal guitarist James Murphy, who is like, I clicked on him and he has been on like hundreds of albums, covered Odyssey on his Feeding the Machine solo album, but also progressive metal band Dream Theater covered Odyssey for the special edition of their 10th studio album Black Clouds and Silver Linings. That's crazy. Because I've never I know that they did some Iron Maiden and some other stuff. I think actually let me see. So Stargazer is on there. To Tame a Land by Iron Maiden. Larks, Tongues, and Aspen. King Crimson, Zebra. Take Your Fingers from My Hair. That's crazy in Odyssey. And then Tenement Funster by Queen. I have to check out this B-side, the special edition, these tracks. And it's so funny because Lee, his favorite Iron Maiden song is To Tame a Land, which is on Peace of Mind, and I showed it to him. I showed him like pretty much all the first 9 albums, and he said the best song out of all 9 albums is that one. And it's kind of cool that it has to do, with Dune, and Dune Part 2 just came out some months ago, and I'm gonna send him the version, but he doesn't really like James Labrie as a vocalist. So let's see. I've never heard this version. I love this song as well, To Tame a Land. So yeah, that's kind of cool. It's going to be interesting to hear how Dream Theater covered it. I'm sure it's going to sound exactly the same, but what I loved about this song is it reminded me obviously a lot of Kansas, because the violin and those really nice keyboard parts, and just the whole progginess of the track. But in 1978, so you can see how there are bands already playing this. I don't want to call it metal music, but it is, in the end, it is metal music, because that's what it kind of like turned out to be. Maybe not as distorted, but it is the intention, that's this crazy, that's why there's some stuff like, for example, when I listen to Yes, and just like when we listened to Yes, John Anderson on Saturday, it felt, I guess the band was incredibly tight, and I think they outplayed, like I think they outplayed the original Yes band, because they just have, I guess, different gear, and it just sounds, it's just incredible the way it sounded, and having John Anderson, sing everything. It was just like super weird to hear them like that, and then compare it again to the original. It's just sounded so much, I don't know, like it's weird, because a lot of people even in the comments were like, yeah, they sound like the real deal, if not better, which is like, that's a lot to say, but it's just like, I guess with different equipment it just sounds different too, like a different technology, different distortion, and just with, I don't know. But yeah, what a great track. This was wonderful. Now the title track, What If, is next. Let's give it up here for What If. And but so far, what a great album, man, really. For 1978, but again, I've heard so many good albums that are from earlier, but it's just always a little bit shocking to hear stuff that is so close to the stuff that that's you personally already know, like when I listen to Shadow Gallery or Dream Theater or Symphony X, I hear these things that are super bizarre, these time signature changes and these crazy solos, and then you're like, wow, this was all done before, and I didn't believe it. I guess I was listening to the wrong 70s bands, but there were bands that were just pushing the envelope way further, than some other bands. You know, when I compare Led Zeppelin to this, I mean, you know, Led Zeppelin obviously by 78 had already, I guess, you know, finished. But before, they never really played such technical stuff. Kansas did, you know, Yes did, Genesis did, but I guess the bands, the 70s bands that I know from before the channel, they were just, you know, not that, you know, something like as crazy as Gentle Giant. I had no idea, you know, that people were actually playing this kind of stuff. So when I heard my 90s bands or 2000 bands doing that kind of stuff in the, you know, in the style of, you know, let's say Gentle Giant, or that's when I was like, well, that's the new prog, right? They're just more technical. And now I see that a lot of the stuff that I listened to had been done before, and it just blows my mind, you know. Okay, here we go with What If. All right. This reminds me, I don't know why, but it reminds me a lot of Frank Zappa, like just the stuff that I've been listening to lately and requests, you know. It has that jazziness, you know, that jazzy drumming, you know, and the chord progressions, and just like the solo is very, very jazz fusion. I love it. Very, very good. But yeah, it has that, you know, Zappa kind of like style to it that you don't really know what's gonna come next, you know. I love it. Wow. This whole song had such a fusion vibe. Even reminded me a little bit of Holdsworth, you know? Very, the chord progressions and the volume swells. That's just stuff that he does a lot. Today I was playing some Holdsworth to Alexia and I was like, just listen, you know, listen, what do you feel here? Like, what does it say, you know? And she gets it, man. It's so crazy. A lot of people don't get him at all. You know, it is really something that is, I guess over time, I guess it's also years listening to it, you know, in the house, you know, and she just gets what he's trying to like almost like say. There's a lot of instances in music where guitar players are not just playing notes or random solos, they're talking, you know, they're really using the notes to express language, you know, or emotion, you know, and they really get through. It says here, I love this. It says one of the top jazz rock fusion ensembles ever. Dixie Dregs combined virtuoso technique with eclecticism and a sense of humor and spirit too frequently lacking humor and spirit too frequently lacking in similar projects. Guitarist Steve Morse and bassist Andy West played together as high school students in Augusta, Georgia. Wow. So they met as kids basically. And then also it says here that he was expelled because he didn't want to cut his hair. I love that because that's almost what happened to me. I wasn't gonna get expelled, but I got into some trouble because I had like hair down to here and they were like, okay, Nick, it's too much, you have to cut it. At least like it had to be under the ear, so it couldn't be like this long or anything. But yeah, all right, so beautiful track. I don't know if this is my favorite so far, but I do love Odyssey as well. The first one was, you know, a little bit on the simpler side, but I love that they also, you know, they show that they can just play straightforward rock and then go super prog and then go super fusion here in What If. So far, so good. Super. All right. Travel Tunes is next, and let's give it up for the tunes. I've heard this before, but only the backing track, never the solo. I remember owning a DVD, and it was called, I think it was called Once in a Lifetime Dream Theater, and it basically narrates like a 1 year tour of them playing with new keyboardist Derek. I think it's Sharinian or I don't know why I can never remember that. Remember that name, Derek. Sharinian, amazing musician. On his own, Dream Theater. Yes, he did. We recorded 2 albums with them, but as a solo artist, he just excelled. I mean, he has done stuff with Al Di Meola. He has done stuff with Yngwie Malmsteen. He has done stuff with Steve Stevens, Brett Garsett, Alan Holdsworth, you name it. Zach Wilde, everyone in the book. He has literally played with everyone. This guy, and I'm really happy he did quit Dream Theater because he just did way better things. Tony McAlpine, Mike Portnoy, you name it. Okay, so you see footage of Dream Theater being in the studio, and you see actually there's a little piece where they play Starship Troopers, and I just noticed this when I re-listened to Starship Troopers. Then they play with Marillion. That beautiful tune, I think it's called Lavender, I think. Then they play this, but you only hear doom do 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 doom. You just hear the backing track. You don't hear any music over it. So that's how I know it was this. It was Travel Tunes. And you also see Bruce Dickinson in the studio, and I think they play Perfect Strangers by Deep Purple. So it's all coming back. All this music made no sense to me at all, and now like it's coming back, like 10 years after, almost, after originally, listening or watching that DVD, or maybe it's even more. I think it's even more because Alexia and I, we've been together now almost 15 years, so it was before I met Alexia, so I'm almost like 16, 17 years. Oh boy. So yeah, so I just didn't know what that music was, and it also didn't say anything. They play Blackened. Oh, wait a minute. No, it was not Blackened. They play a Metallica tune as well. Dream Theater and the guy from, I don't know if it was Cannibal Corpse, but they play Damage Incorporated. That was a cool tune. And that's when I also noticed that they basically could play anything, But yeah, all right, let's finish this one. I kind of messed up. I literally paused it 1 minute before the end. So here we go. Amazing. So one of my best friends, his name is Hugo, and he still lives in Mexico, and he's always like, oh, Nick, I'm so tired of the music that I have. It's just the same, and I've been listening to the same music for the last 10 years, pretty much since we left Mexico. And I'm like, why don't you look for more? Like, he's like, I don't know, you were the one who was so good at finding new music. And I'm like, I mean, I was, because we were pretty much stuck with Judas Priest and Iron Maiden, and I found, Dream Theater and, Symphony X and stuff like that. And I always got him into new stuff. I got him into Yngwie Malmsteen, of course, Alan Holdsworth, Greg Howe, Frank Gambale, all these jazz fusion guys. But he's like, yeah, I just have heard everything you've ever given me. I made him like the whole hard drive full of stuff. I just dumped all my stuff on his hard drive, and I think he has heard it all, you know, in the last 10 years. And he's like, I need more music, you know, I'm just so tired of the same music. I'm like, just look, you know, go on Spotify. But he doesn't know how to, you know, he is just, you know, he doesn't speak English, and I don't know, it should be available in Spanish as well. It's just, you know, he just likes to you know, me to send him music, and I've done so in the last couple of weeks. I sent him what did I send him? I sent him just like a couple of new things that I've heard on the channel, and then I'm gonna send him this track right now. And he's a huge Steve Morse fan, but he doesn't know the Dixie Dregs. He knows Steve Morse from Kansas, and from just because we had DVDs where Steve Morse was playing with Deep Purple. Well, I don't know if it was with Kansas or with Deep Purple, but we do remember we having a DVD, and it was just like little tidbits. It was like, remember when YouTube had like little clips of like 3 minutes? Those were like burned on the DVD. It wasn't really like an official concert, so it was just one song, but it doesn't really say what it was. When YouTube was still like, you know, just an ocean of just like little random videos where you could see one video of Pat Metheny and you were like, oh my god, you know, that kind of DVD, you know. So all right, so now let's move ahead with the last song, and that is called Ice Cakes. All right. Wow. Wow, the bass here on the guitar. Time signatures are super. Hello. Couldn't hear myself. I'm gonna send this one too. Can't do that yet. Oh my boy. Wow. This is just, what a fantastic album. This is really something I was looking for. Because that's the music that I listen to. Like, this is the type of music, like, this is, I wanted to make some recommendations to you, Mark, since if you like this, of course, you know, I mean, I'm sure you know like hundreds of albums like this, but there is some stuff that I listen to that, you know, that resembles this a little bit. If I can recommend you some Greg Howe. It's spelled just like Steve Howe, but Greg. I think any album from him is amazing. There's some amazing guitar work on there, especially the ones with Richie Kotzen. And also Brett Garsett, if you can check out some Brett Garsett. I've mentioned them on the channel, maybe I've even played some, but it just reminds me a lot. And I just saw that Mohini Day and Simon Phillips and Greg Howe recorded an album together. I'm gonna have to react to that on the channel. It already has hundreds of thousands of you know, reproductions. That is just insane. Simon Phillips, Mohini Day, and Greg Howe, and someone, I don't know who that is, Darwin. I don't know who that could be, but I'm very intrigued. I love it. He has 50,000 listeners. This is also something that shocks me. DIXIE DREGS has 22,000 listeners. That is just insane. But I guess, you know, they were an older band and they're not, you know, coming out with new stuff. I get it, you know, but this is just amazing music. And yeah, I wish I could just, you know, take a deep dive and listen to it all. But, you know, it is what it is with the channel. You know, I wish I could just do that, you know, because there's some 70s stuff, there's 80s stuff, there's 90s stuff. I wish I could just, you know, go for it. And but yeah, I guess I'll have to wait. But this was wonderful. Thank you again so much, Mark, for this exquisite marathon. Let's hope it stays on the channel. Let's, you know, all it takes pretty much is like for them, you know, to if they copyright, claim it, and then I dispute it. If they now forget to reclaim it, then everything's fine. Sometimes with all the music it does work and it stays up, but sometimes it doesn't. So I mean, either way, it's going to be on the Patreon channel, but for the first couple of weeks or months, if we're lucky, it's going to be on YouTube. And I hope it gets a lot of love from the community. It's just fantastic music. This is right up my alley, you know. I'm super happy right now. Alexia is learning how to read music, and I'm sure it's going to help her tremendously with her instrument. Now, she's obviously, you know, learning how to read with the keyboard, but once she transposes those notes onto the bass, it's going to make so much more sense to her. Everything is going to kind of like connect in the head. And she's already, you know, counting different time signatures, which is crazy. And but it's like this really cool learning tool that we have, and it's just fantastic. So if you want to know about it, you know, you can email me. I don't want to do any commercial here, because yeah, just if you want to know what we're using, I'll tell you, and it's just really wonderful. Okay, again, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you, Mark. Thanks everyone for watching. I hope to see you all again, and I'll see you in the next one.